Welcome back to another episode of One Kick from Glory. It's International Week, so before we talk about some of the talking points this International Week, we're going to recap what happened in the previous game week in the Premier League. I'm joined, as always, by Craig right in front of me. Of course, I've got Matthew over to my left.
Good evening.
You know, we've had a lot of exciting games, a lot of interesting talking points going on across this game week. And we're going to start off by the big game of the weekend, to Liverpool and Chelsea. The two teams that are likely to be at the top fighting for the title. Over to you, Matthew. Let's just talk about that game and how it began. So going into the game, you had a great win against Arsenal, feeling very good. Lukaku had another week of training. Feel like he's probably gotten better integrated with the tactics, with the system. How were you feeling going into that match?
I was apprehensive about this one just because Liverpool have now, even though they've only really strengthened in a way of buying one player this window, they did sign and commit a lot of their mainstay players. And I remember what you did say, that it's almost like they've got a point to prove. And once they have that team back again, they will be more, as dangerous as they were when they won the title. So I always knew that this was going to be more of a challenge. And if I'm brutally honest, from the start, I didn't think we were going to win. I thought a draw, 0-0, 1-1, 2-2 was always going to be the outcome. However, what happened in reality was actually quite different. I came out that game, even after the incident, thinking we could have taken that away, even with 10 men. Defensively, especially in the second half, I thought we were immense. Like we might not score massive amounts of goals, but neither do we concede them. And it just goes to show what Tuchel's doing. He's trying to get us to defend as probably as a unit, to kind of solidify and just not so much park the bus, but just defend with pride and just caring for the team. On the incident, because I'm going to have to mention it, yes, it was a penalty. Obviously, we know. I'm just still sceptical of whether it was a red card. And a bit that annoyed me was that what worked so well at the Euros, I could still potentially be a problem in the Premier League with checking the screens. If he took that little bit longer to check the screen and he still gives a red, I would be like, okay, you've done that. I'm not going to turn to one of these fans who goes, oh, we've lost the game because we didn't win the game because of that. We got our job to do at the end of the day, and that ball could have gone anywhere. It could have gone up, it could have gone out, it could have gone left, it could have gone back in the goal for all I know. So I'm still, well, it's happened now, so what's done is done. But overall, the results, how it panned out, I'm actually really kind of happy. It was just such a shame. But what a goal by Havertz. What a goal by Havertz. What a header. But so yeah, a bittersweet victory is what I'm going to put it. A bittersweet. So yeah, I'm most 80% happy. 80%.
No, I think that's fair. And I guess for you, Craig, looking at that game, because obviously that was one of the games of the weekend where, of course, there's a lot of talking points, that the handball, the red card, the VAR, again, another kind of talking point that we're always going to keep talking about. For you watching that game, what would you say was something that you kind of enjoyed in what you saw? What was something that you think, I guess, was a positive thing for Chelsea and for Liverpool going forward?
I think Liverpool played very well. I know Chelsea were down to 10 men, but I feel with Liverpool they kept on pushing to get the second goal to win the game. And I have to say with Chelsea, they defended very well. They were down to 10 men, and the manager was very smart with his tactics, changed the game. So he didn't obviously he took off the players that he needed to take off when he went down to 10 men, and he just shut up shop, and it was very solid. They were very solid. So it goes to show sometimes you can go down to 10 men and you could lose the game, but they were very good at the way how the tactical and way how the team was disciplined to be solid at the back, don't give anything away, and I think it was a very good game. Yeah.
And I think the big thing again is this is two rivals coming together who are going to be two of the teams you'd expect by the end of the season will either be there or thereabouts for the title. And I guess for you, Matthew, looking at it from that way, do you feel like in this game, is it a point gained, or do you feel like it's 2 points dropped, having looked back on the whole 90 minutes?
Considering what could have happened when we went down with the attacking players they had, it's a point gained. But considering the chances we had, throughout the whole game, you could also get it at 2 points lost. I'm gonna go with the former. I think it's a point gained because I know their front. They don't really have much in replacement of those front three, but there's a reason why they stay so fit and so active. You're always worried where someone like Salah gets the ball, or Firmino or Mane gets the ball, and in that game, Harvey Elliott could have scored from early. So I've now got that to think about, and we've still got to get past Van Dijk. You've still got to get past Alisson, and let's not forget like other players in the middle like Henderson and Alcantara who can put in an absolute shift for that team. And I think Jurgen Klopp got that genius award or something. From someone. So need I say more about that? But so I see it. I still do see it as a point gained, just because of what could happen after that red card at halftime. It could have been a cricket score afterwards. It absolutely could have been, but it wasn't. So and also because it's only 3 games, it is still a point gained. So I've come down to it's a point gained.
Yeah, and I think it was a good first advert of a Super Sunday, first kind of game, 2 big heavyweights going head to head. I think both of you was evenly matched. I think what's really telling as well is that even after going down to 10 men, you never look like faltering, and you look like you probably could have still nicked it at certain points. So I think that's a very good testament to the squad building that Tuchel's done, and also the tactical way that he's implemented his sort of blueprint and the maturity in the players. Now, talking about maturity in the players, of course, I'm going to come over to the Man City game. Oh, Lord. They played a team from North London that wear red and white and really aren't so bright these days. And they had an absolute field day. I think 5-0 was the final score. Could have been 6, could have been 10 if they really wanted more. To start with, Craig, I guess looking at the game, looking at the lineup that was picked for the match, what were your thoughts when you saw the team Arteta chose to start with?
I was shocked. That's all I can say. I was like, I said to him, I wasn't confident going into the game. I was saying to my manager at work here after I finished work on Saturday, I said to him, if we lose this game, hopefully we don't lose it by two by a heavy scoreline. I said 2 or 3-0. I wouldn't mind if we lost 2 or 3-0. But what the team he picked, 5-0, it could have been 10, as you said. It was that bad. Defending was shocking from the goalkeeper, from the defenders. It's like they never played with each other before. You're supposed to be training with each other every day, learning tactics and all this stuff. But they didn't know. It was school. Even under 8s could do better defending than how they were defending the other day. It was that bad. There was no cohesion in the back 4, no leaders, nobody shouting at players telling them move there, or man on. It was horrible.
I think for me, one of the most... Because I looked at the team and who we picked. We went for a back 3 this time around. So we had Kolasinac at centre-back, which, considering, he's been rumoured to be leaving all summer, it's a bit of a weird one. You're playing a guy that you want to get rid of. But you did that alongside Callum Chambers and Rob Holding, with Cedric as a right wing-back. Cedric, who had an awful game the previous game week. And then, of course, you had Tierney at left wing back and stuff. So it was interesting, the lineup and players he picked. I mean, I think the rest of the team kind of picked itself, in terms of the attacking players. But it was just a bit disappointing just to see the lack of fight for me, especially going 1-0 down. Now, I know in the past with Arsenal teams, they've been very good at fighting back and kind of finding that second win, that third win. But once Man City scored the first goal, and we will talk about the first goal, but once they scored that first goal, it was just like, okay, the job's done. We may as well go home. There's nothing more to do. And I guess for you, Matthew, looking at it, because we've grown up on great Arsenal teams. We've grown up on great Arsenal-Chelsea rivalries. We've had the days of, like, even going back, we had the days of Gianfranco Zola, Gianluca Vialli, and Tori Andre Flo, like the classic kind of 90s, early 2000s Chelsea. Then, of course, we have the Henry, the Pires era, with the Drogba era. We've had so many different eras of the battle between our teams. And then you come to this current era and it's just like, okay, well, that's another 3 points in the bag. I know we've had some games when it's been a bit difficult and stuff, but looking at the goal conceded, right? Like, what do you even say about it?
Well, the first goal,
the very, very first goal, that header.
to be honest, the first goal didn't bother me as much as the second goal. I'm going to get to that. But how are you getting out jumped by one of the shorter players on the pitch? I mean, Man City aren't a very tall team, and yet it's still it's where's the pride? Where is the pride? For those that don't know, Arsenal used to have a stonewall defense who would not, like, if you were going to get there, you see the centre back like a Tony Adams, you're not going through. He will just say, no, that's it. Turn around, gone. And you had him, you had Campbell, you had Lauren, a Cameroonian defender called Lauren, who apparently in training would leave it on you.
Yeah.
Like, wow, no one, I mean, he was an invincible. Funny enough, he was the stories about this man, he would leave it on you. Like, no playing, no messing. That's what, I'm not even a fan of your team, and it bothers me about how bad that the defense for nearly all the goals. And the first one, you're getting out jumped by Gundogan. He's like, what, 5'6". He's shorter than all of us here. And I was like, come on, like Chambers holding, you got to do better than that. Big, tall, strong English, born and bred. Come on, where's your pride? Where's like, even if you've got to stick one on them, just do it for the team. And then it's nowhere near as bad as the second goal. Who was the one who got in the face? Who was it?
Chambers got punched in the face.
Chambers,
yeah.
I'm sorry, mate. Stand tough. Laporte is going to leave it on you. Give him some.
To be fair, he was punched in the face. Goal should, and the fact that they reviewed it under VAR, and it still stands, to me, that's diabolical. It's the same as the Brentford situation where, okay, it's poor goalkeeping. Like, you never, as a goalkeeper, you never ever let a player come and crowd you out and get in your space. You always say, I remember playing with one of my goalkeepers I used to play with, like a great goalkeeper. He used to have this thing. He used to say, get him off me. And your job is to stand between the goalkeeper and that player and just get rid of them. You push them, you breathe on them, whatever you need to do.
What you got to do.
Lean on them, you press them, you get them out the way.
Mate.
But the fact that Pontus Jansson managed to grapple Leno and pin his arms down so he couldn't jump, that's a foul.
Yes.
This one, he gets punched in the face. But aside from that, I agree with the rest of it. It's just not, like, as a defender, you can't just
Stop looking for the ref to do the thing for you. You're there to try and defend him as well. So, yes, I agree with that. It should have been put to VAR and the goal probably shouldn't have stood. But you're a big man from a team who used to know how to defend. Campbell wouldn't stand for that. Lauren wouldn't stand for that. I don't even think Koscielny would stand for that. And as for Tony, if that was Tony, there would have been a fight. I'm not saying you should fight, but get that gumption going. Like, get that Rudiger energy.
I think for me, what I would have done is, after the goal went in, I got punched in the face. I would have gotten up and been like, he punched me. Check, he punched me. I'd have gone to Laporte. You punched me. And I would have squared up to him. And that forces the referee to check it again. Because what he had is Chambers is on the floor. The player's like, he hit him. And then it's like, he gets up, he hit me, ref. I'd have been like, bro, he punched. I would have made it very clear what he did. So the referee would have seen it. And I don't know what he looked at, or what VAR looked at. But for me, the referee has to go back and review that. So
that is true. But it shows like how back in the day we didn't need things like this. The certain players would come by and you just seeing them come in as a referee looking up, thinking, okay, fine. But it's just how you're defending bothers me so much, and I don't even support you guys. I just don't know. You need to fix it. You really do. If you're going to lose, lose a certain way. Lose fighting. Lose showing some kind of, even if you might not necessarily have a game plan, lose like with, don't make it easy for them. Show some grit, some determination.
And I think that's my biggest issue with Arteta's team right now. Because when he first came in, even though like the games were tighter, and even the previous games against Man City when they beat us like a 1-0, 2-0 at best, they were, and the ones we won, but it's taken the losses, they were a lot closer. Man City had to work to win. Okay, when the goals came, all the goals we conceded against Man City, they didn't have to work for the goals. Because the goals were easy. Like, they're all defensive errors. Every single one. I still remember the one, Bernardo Silva, when he got it and just bent it in top corner. It was just, anyway. He may not have been in charge. Anyway, he might not have been in charge back then. But all the goals have always been easy. Defensive errors, the one David Luiz, the ball bounced, he miskicked it, and it's a clean run through, bang. So they're easy, but after that point, it's a game. Like they never felt like, oh, it's gonna be easy. Like they had to keep working to kind of stay in it. And what I found now is that the team don't have that same level of fight or determination, like in how they play. And I'll turn it over to you, Craig. I guess like looking at it, obviously it's a different team. We can't really compare eras. We're not the golden team we used to be, and clearly we're on like a weird developmental cycle. Where do you think, or what do you think Arsenal need to do or need to show you in the next 4 games we've got to say that Arteta should stay on?
I just want.
And before you answer, I'm being very, very generous with 4 games. He should have been gone last week. Every day is on borrowed time. But let's say 4 games.
Okay, in the next 4 games we've got Norwich, and we've got Burnley, Tottenham,
and then we've got West Brom
and
Carabao.
No, we played them already.
Wimbledon. Carabao.
Okay, in these 4 games, I'd love to see him pick his strongest team. Hopefully I think Gabriel should be back fit. Ben White should be back fit after the international break. So and a new signing we got recently.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him like, and I know Partey might be fit. I'm not sure.
Well, Ben White and Gabriel both played. Hear this kicks right. Arsenal, the gift that keeps on giving. So we played a behind closed doors friendly against Brentford under 23s. We beat them 4-0.
Oh, well done.
That's all I have to say about that. Gabriel and White both played in the back 3, and there was a mixture of senior players and young players, and it seems they had a good game.
And I'd love to see if Partey's not fit, I know Xhaka's injured. I'd love to see him play Maitland-Niles and
Xhaka's suspended. He ain't
injured. The new centre mid that we've got in the summer. I'd like to see him play. Him and Maitland-Niles in that midfield. I just like to play his strongest team and give Maitland-Niles a chance, because I feel that he played well when he was playing before, and he just dropped him. So I love to see him given a chance to play in the team, and I love to see us win matches. But I want to see him win with passion. I don't want to see it like we're struggling and then we score in the last. I want to see us win games comfortably. These games we've got are winnable games. I know the Tottenham game maybe it's a London derby, but we always play well in London derbies.
It's a game we should win.
We should win,
like,
but on paper we should win. But you never know what can happen. So I'd love to see that to happen. And if that doesn't happen in none of those games, we don't win any of those games, theologically speaking, then Mr. Arteta needs to pack his bags and say adios.
Yeah, his bag should already be packed. He should just do like what Johnny Ive would do with Steve Jobs when they go to hotels, because you knew Steve Jobs was so picky. He didn't unpack his bag. He left his suitcase by the door and just waited for the phone to ring. Yeah, we're moving rooms. So actually his bag should be packed.
I think
ready.
I think
Yeah, so there's a lot of work to be done there. And of course, you mentioned Maitland-Niles in midfield. The window closed. So all the teams, the Turkish window is still open, so there's still a chance for some players to move on. We've got fingers crossed that a couple of the Arsenal surplus to requirement boys and the ones we want to leave. But in case they don't, I guess looking at the window as a whole, starting with you, Matthew, how would you rate the window for Chelsea?
Good on both fronts. I think apart from missing out on a centre-back, but we did promote Trevor Chalobah to the senior squad. I think we've done very well, not just getting in, but also those leaving. So it's almost as if it's balanced out that massive transfer we did for Lukaku. I am sad to see some of them go, especially like Zuma, Tomori, and in particular Abraham. But it just shows that we're serious about what we're doing with our squad and trying to push for... get a title push after so many years. No disrespect to the players that we got rid that we've sold. That's not saying that they can't. They couldn't have done it at Chelsea and pushed for a title. I'm not saying that at all. But in football's not bit. You don't have a trophy cabinet out of sentiments. So clearly and Tuchel has a plan that he has, and unfortunately there were surplus to requirements. But they are still good players. I've seen Abraham's doing well at Rome already, which I'm really happy to see.
He's doing really
doing
well, yeah.
so well, and I could not be any happier. Again, I think he's at the perfect place. He's got great players around him, and I think he's got the right manager around him as well. I think he's going to do absolutely fine in Rome, and I'm just happy to see him go somewhere that's not the Premier League. I think Zuma is also going to a good project at West Ham. West Ham, they had a good window as well for them. I think he's going to a good spot on the up, competing in Europe. We've already got a good defence, and again, a good experienced manager with David Moyes. So I think he's going to do well. Then you had likes of Tomori and Giroud going to AC Milan. I think that's going to be Giroud's side. He scored 2 goals, I think, in his last game. Tomori, I think he had a good loan spell there as well. So on that front's good. But he's even getting Lukaku. We've got Bettinelli from Fulham, so we've got another backup keeper. So our keeper's actually really, really good. And getting Saul Niguez on the loan from Atletico Madrid, which I did not see coming, but I'm not going to say no to it. So our midfield just got that little bit more stacked. So if you were to break down both our teams, the teams we could play in the Premier League is absolutely off the chain. We've effectively got 2 teams, winning teams at that. So I can't say anymore.
And you know what? That's the big thing. You always want to have that squad depth, especially when you're chasing the title. I would imagine that you probably want to try and retain Champions League again. So, when you're chasing those 2 big trophies, you need to have squad depth.
Definitely, yeah.
You need to have quality to rotate with. So I guess you've got some really good business. Over to us. How do you rate Arsenal's transfer business, Craig?
Compared to other teams, I know I was a bit disappointed with some of the signings, to be honest. But then when I look at it deep down, when I've been thinking about it the last couple of weeks, I think most of the players that we bought in the summer are for the future. They're not for this season, they're for the future.
Do you think that was the right move to make? Because I feel like you could do a bit of both. Now, looking at the signings you made, I think that, the age profile is quite interesting. I think that with some of them, you could look at what they can do in terms of what they can do right now. I think it's very interesting as well and exciting. But do you think that's the right move to make, considering how far off we fell? Like, we finished 8th twice. So to now go into like a Project Youth version 2, is it the right move?
I feel what they should have done this summer, they should have got experience and youth. Get established players and got some youth players as well. Because some of the players that we got for the future, like Odegaard's going to be a good player in the future.
And I'd say with Odegaard, I feel like he's someone he's going to perform right now as well.
Yeah.
So when he came in on loan, he definitely gave our team a lot of extra stuff, extra dimension. He's got I guess from a gameplay perspective, he's very similar to Ozil in that he's like a final third creative passer.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily get the high assist numbers, but he will definitely be involved in that pattern play and creating chances.
I feel like, to be honest with you, I feel with the young players that we got, and we've got some good young players in the academy as well. I personally feel I know if I get this is my prediction for the future. In the next 5 years, we could challenge again. I think so.
Okay.
I might hold me through this. And everyone on YouTube, I said it. In the next 5 years, we could challenge again. It's there. I said it.
Okay. Now, so the issue is this, right?
Yeah.
When Arteta first came in, if he'd started with this being the project, I'm a young manager, we're going to bring in young players, I feel like the whole fan base would have got behind it. Even finishing, maybe not finishing 8th twice.
Yeah.
But I think we could understand the project and you would have had a lot more patience.
Yeah.
The problem a lot of people have is the fact that wasn't the game plan when you first came in. When you first took over, it was a case of save our season.
Yeah.
and he won the FA Cup.
He did. Yeah.
And that brought him a lot of capital in the club, a lot of goodwill with the fans. Okay, you know what? A cup win, the FA Cup is very important.
You can't really,
trophy, right?
you can't discount credit that at all. You really can't.
So he did that. Following season, you thought, okay, build on it. And what does he do? He prioritizes older players because the idea was we're going to have a quick fix shortcut to the Champions League. He told Willian within 3 years we'll win the Champions League at Arsenal. That's what was the promise made to him, right?
You're welcome, by the way.
And what happened? Didn't work. We finished 8th. In fact, we were near the bottom part of the table until he brought in the youth players.
But we have to remember, we were one kick away from getting to the Europa League final last season.
Yeah.
One kick away from...
Yeah. But here's the thing. Your life as a team should not be dependent on one moment going one way or the other.
Yeah.
Successful teams are not built off, well, if only Mbappe had put the ball in the back of the net, that's it. If only Ronaldo had scored that free kick. If you're trying to win something, especially when you're trying to get into the Champions League final or Europa League final to get back into the Champions League, you get there. You put out the performance to get. You don't rely on one Aubameyang swing of the foot to get you into the.
No,
I think at all.
I personally feel with that as well. What you're saying, you're totally correct there. What you're saying, I feel like for us last season, our 38 games last season, we were not good enough. To be honest, 38 games in the season, I think you play home and away. We didn't play well. Most of our games last season at home, our home record was very poor last season. I think we only won, how many home games did we win? I think it was 6 or 7 home games we won last season.
Not many of them.
Not many.
And
away games, and we lost. And some of the games, the teams that we lost to Burnley, who did we lose to? Villa, Wolves.
Not us.
Nah. So there's some games we lost last season, and I'm looking at myself thinking, I'm scratching my head thinking, what is this? Trust the process. We trust the process is not working.
But that's the thing. So the process has changed. So what we were told initially, they've changed it. They tried to say, okay, now we're going Project Youth. Fine if that's the case.
Yeah.
But an article came out in The Athletic about the Arsenal transfer process saying that there were certain players Arteta signed off on. There was a podcast of David Ornstein talking about it and how it was actually Edu's plan to go Project Youth. And Arteta was a bit surprised because he thought, well, in football, I don't really have time.
Yeah.
You're telling me to trust the process which requires time. It's a bit of a strange one. So I guess for you, Matthew, looking from the outside in, looking at what Arsenal have done in terms of the players they've bought, it's nothing for you to be afraid of for Chelsea because what is there to fear, really? There's nothing there to be afraid of right now. But would you say for fans then, like taking this direction, because of course you guys don't do that. No. You have youth team players, but you don't really. It's not like we're going to build for the first team. You guys buy what you need. And then you if a young player is good enough, they'll get a chance, right?
Yeah.
How do you think then fans need to look at this and temper expectation going forward?
I'm not saying they should be patient because for you guys, it's not 3 games. I think this is 20 months because he's been there. He's had 2 windows. He spent a lot of money, and the records that he's getting they're not the records he needs to be setting. I personally think he has up to the Spurs game to really kind of that's cut-off point for him is the North London derby. That's the one. What I would also say is for your team is I don't think the case of the players you're buying is the players you're not getting rid of. There's a lot of players because you're not a terrible team and anyone can see that. You've got some really good players, but you've also got some players there where the badge just is far too heavy for them. And you're not investing in. It's all well, like you're saying, investing in youth, and that's not a bad thing to do. That's a great thing to do to give them a chance. But I also think that football's fickle, and it's not built on let's give these youngsters a thing because there's too much pressure on them. You do need that. I just think you need that little bit more experience in the team where it's not like where they're reaching their twilight years, but somewhere kind of in between. Perfect example we were talking about earlier is someone like a Basuma next to Partey. Was it Lokonga he's next to?
Yeah.
I mean that's a fantastic image to have. And learning from someone who's been in Spain like Partey, who's someone at Brighton and Basuma who's just so desired right now, and what Lokonga can take from that, I think is fantastic. Xhaka don't need to be there anymore. He's had long enough, since 2016, and the team's gotten worse. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but it's a catalyst. He's part of the problem. I just think that's merely one example. I just think it's just recruitment and your assets as well. I think it's almost as if you're making it more difficult for yourself to get back up to where you should be, to justifying that kind of legacy that you have. It's just having those right players in the right area. Again, I don't know exactly what you would look for, but that's what I'm saying. Should the fans be patient? Well, from my perspective, no. He would have been gone a lot. He would have gone. I would have had him gone after the Europa League semi-final last year. He would have been gone. Failure to qualify for Europe for a team like Arsenal, for me personally, is unacceptable. And I know you're going through this transition of trust the process, trust the youth, and that's fine. That's fine. That's fantastic. Good on those young players. You've got players like Saka and Smith Rowe and Balogun coming through, not to mention Reece Nelson and Maitland-Niles, but have some. Same thing with the way how you defend. Have some respect. There's nothing wrong in demanding more from your club that you love so much. You know, stop accepting certain things of it's just it is what it is. I hate that expression. It is what it is. Yeah. That's such weak mentality, weak mindset to have. Where you've allowed other teams like your Leicesters and your West Hams to come up above that, and though there's other teams coming up from behind. Never mind looking ahead. Like I said before, look behind.
You got Leeds, you got Villa.
Villa, Everton could do something crazy. And I know Wolves are doing everything but score. But again, it can happen. They've been in Europe before, so it's just I don't know whether it's a case of having Arteta in or out, but just raise your standards. Raise your standards. I mean, that's something I do when I work in a school. Raise the standard. Don't accept any less for what you expect. Demand more. Ask for more. Don't just sit there and accept. It is what it is. It's so weak. So weak. Hey.
And over to you, Craig. You're going to add something to that.
Oh, sorry.
About the Xhaka thing. This is a stat, yeah. Since Jack has been to Arsenal are not qualified for the Champions League since he's been there.
But I'm not saying, again, that's not necessarily just his fault, but he's part of...
His first season at Arsenal was in the Champions League. After that, we haven't qualified since. So I don't want to call him a jinx, but I'm calling a spade for a spade.
I mean, he's definitely a contributory factor. I mean, we're not saying he's totally to blame, but our team, we just haven't made it since he's been there. It's a fact.
Coincidence? I think not.
Okay, so Arsenal are. There's a lot to be done. I think we're going to do like a proper deep dive on Arteta, the ownership. That'll be a podcast to come very soon. But let's look at the rest of the league. In fact, let's look at the month. So it's a new month now. Mm-hmm. So I think we can talk about player of the month. Mm-hmm. Looking across the teams. I mean, I'm going to put my hat in the ring straight away. I'm going to give it to Mikel Antonio. For me personally, I think what he's been doing this season is incredible. I think it's a testament to him as a person, a testament to him as a player, a testament to his team as well, and sort of the way I think it's been set up for him. So that's my vote. Who would you say, Matthew, is your player of the month?
I have narrowed it down to about 4. I had Basuma, I had Greenwood, I was going to say Rudiger, but I'm actually going to give it, I'm going to side with you. I'm going to give it to Mikel Antonio as well, because he also scored that goal scoring record, and just see how integral he is to West Ham and playing literally any position he can, and he absolutely smashes it. I mean, he could be in goal and get 30 clean sheets for all I know. He's probably capable of it. And just with what they're doing as a team moving forwards, and just how important and integral he is, I think, definitely, without a doubt, I think he's my player of the month as well.
And for you, Craig, who would you back as your player of the month?
I've narrowed it down to 2. It's the same as you, Antonio and Greenwood.
Money Maze.
I think like I'll say if I do like how to do it like for player of the year when they have senior and young player of the year. So I'll say the older player has to be Mikel Antonio for what he's done this season, kept up his form from last season, and he seems to be getting better and better with age.
And he's in the Jamaica squad.
Hey, come on, reggae boys.
And I would say Greenwood, because everyone at United have been raving about Greenwood for a long time. They're saying he's the next best thing. The guy can finish. Left foot, right foot, header. He's on a path. He can go as far as he wants to be in the game. He just has to be level-headed, stay focused, just play your football, learn from players like Ronaldo, learn from Rashford, learn from Cavani, learn from all the great players at United, and he could be a top world-class player.
And I think the other thing with Greenwood, which I really like, is the fact that he has this mentality of, he's got this kind of never say die, I'm the man, give me the ball. Like even the game when he scored the winner the other day, it just that kind of, when he got the ball, there was no doubt in his mind that he could score from that angle. No doubt whatsoever to take the shot on. And that's something about him which I really admire. And I think a lot of younger players could definitely learn from, is that kind of bullish, direct, never say die attitude. And he will definitely get, I think, a call up the next set of internationals. I think he'll be in the England squad.
Definitely.
Definitely for that one. Manager of the month. Who's your pick?
Oh my goodness. That's a tough one. So I'm gonna give that one that much thought. Who's actually done quite well at the start? Who hasn't been defeated yet?
I mean, worst manager of the season is easy so far. That doesn't really take. I don't like. You don't need to think about that one.
That was an easy one.
Bottom of the league, 3 games. Can't beat newly promoted Brentford, but can beat the under-23s in the behind closed court. You know what? Let me just look. When that news came out that Arsenal beat Brentford 4-0, they just said Arsenal beat Brentford 4-0 in a behind closed doors friendly. And I'm sitting there thinking, does the Arsenal admin, does the club not have, are they just brain dead or something? We lost to this team in a game, it doesn't count, 2-0. You then say we beat them 4-0. You don't announce the lineups. Then you announce some pictures. And then the lineups come out and everyone's like, you not see Arsenal lineup. So we can see that Ben White played, Gabriel played, Charlie Patino came on after 30 odd minutes. Maitland-Niles played midfield the whole game. You're like, okay, this is looking good. Lacazette started up front, scored a free kick. You're like, okay, this is good. Pepe played. You're like, this is very strong. The Arsenal team. What about Brentford? Then you announce their team. You're like, who that? I recognise that guy from FIFA. Who's that? And then you realise it's their under-23s.
Oh my God.
And it's like, where's the shame? Why not just say under-23s?
Yeah.
And Arsenal 11 played at under-23s of Brentford. No, but you make it sound like we played their big team and beat them 2-0. So like, I thought that was just diabolical from the club.
Funny.
But anyway, that's why he's jet black as West Manager
That's
so
funny.
far this season.
Actually, no, is his name Thomas Frank?
Yes,
Brentford
Thomas
I
Frank,
think to start the first 3 games and not get defeated, but still be quite bullish in how they've started, he's a good candidate. I'm gonna have to give it to Tuchel. I'm gonna give it to him purely. 3 fantastic games, 3 fantastic performances. In particular, that one against Liverpool, going down to 10 men, just shows our grit and our steel. And I just love what with the window he's just had, with what he's building, and that he's clearly the reason why we've backed this guy so hard. After all, giving us the Champions League, for crying out loud. He's building effectively a second squad, but I just love the fact that he seems like quite a ruthless man as well, to match the ruthless owner. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Tuchel, but I think my other choice would probably be, I would say Thomas Frank, especially as a new team back in the Premier League. I think they've done, was it Arsenal, Villa, and Palace, have undefeated so far. So credit to them, well done.
I've narrowed it down to 2. This one's going to be hard for me to say. Tottenham manager's done well. 3 wins out of 3. It's hard for me to say this out of my mouth, but you have to give credit where credit is due. You can't be a hater like that. So they're done well, but I'm going to give it to David Moyes because of what West Ham have done of last season, and they continue the same form from last into this season. So I want to give it to David Moyes as manager of the month. I think what he's done, and the players he's bought in the summer, and the way how the team have continued doing the same good form, and I think they're going to another level. I think they're going to go to the next level this season. I think this season they want to challenge for maybe Champions League. I think they've got a good squad now, so watch out.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, my choice was going to be David Moyes. I mean, I don't see any other options available. I don't care who's top of the league.
No, they've done really well.
To me,
really
rivalries are rivalries, and I'll stick with that till I'm dead. But yeah, Moyes for me, because again, it's building on what he did really well last season. He's got a very nice setup with West Ham. Bringing in Zuma, considering how well they're playing defensively, it's an interesting move. But clearly, he wants to take them to another level, and he sees Zuma as being a very key part of that. So I look and I think, okay, and of course they got I think his name is Alexei Král.
Yeah.
On loan from Czech Republic, another one of the Czech boys to join his compatriots in Koufal and Souček. So their recruitment in that market has been very, very good. I think other clubs would not go amiss by looking at what they're doing and having a little grab at that, and then kind of going from there. Yeah, I mean, I remember last week we talked about Ronaldo being one of the surprise signings. Of course, Messi made his move. I think looking across the league in terms of like the business that's been done, because there's not, I think again, was it $1 billion spent again in the Premier League this summer? $1 billion spent again. Like, it's been interesting in terms of the window business teams have done and stuff, and how things have kind of worked out. And I guess for you, Matthew, looking at just how things have performed so far, which team would you say should have done more in the window?
I think Liverpool should have done more. I think signing another defender is great. It's almost like preparing for another defensive disaster. Losing Van Dijk last year, Canute is a great addition to their defense. However, Firmino's injured at the moment. It could easily happen to Salah. It could even easily happen to Mane. Plus, with the African Cup of Nations coming next year, both those players will be going. I think they probably should. And I know they got Jota, who's another fantastic addition. But having another good, solid attacking threat, I think would have really seen them being a lot more competitive than what they are. Not saying they're not competitive now, but they could have been even. They probably would have been even my choice to go for the league, possibly. They've done well to tie down some of their main players like Van Dijk and Henderson. I do think, unless they're promoting from the youth, I think having at least one more attacker could have. What I think I would have liked to have seen that. Plus, but then again, we've got January coming up, so you never know. I think they've done well. City, I do still think they are missing that striker, but they won the league without one last year. So, and Gabriel Jesus just might be the year he might step up. When I said
and they've got Ferran Torres as well.
And they got Ferran Torres
to get more goals.
Striker. Keep focusing on the. I think Newcastle could have done more. Newcastle could have done more because I think only really got Willock to kind of not a depleted side, but a side kind of a sporadic view of ability that they have. I think they could have done more. Not that I want to pick on them anymore. Arsenal players, they have. Arsenal players you got, they're not bad. They're good players, but I do think you could have done a little bit more to try and push out some of the deadwood. Just to make room for then, if the next window came, to add a little bit more quality. Because you don't have European football, so you can just purely focus on the domestic, and then get you a bit higher up the table. I think that could have helped. I think also most teams I think had a kind of the window you'd expect, really. So yeah, I think those are the ones that kind of. I think in particular Newcastle and probably Liverpool, just getting in that one player. I think they could have done better.
Okay, and for you, Craig, who would you say should have done more in this window?
Burnley, Southampton. Southampton lost their bet. They lost Danny Ings, who scored so many goals for them. They lost who else did they lose? They got Vestergaard.
Vestergaard.
He was a good defender for them, so I think they should have bought more. And they got Armstrong, but I think they should have bought more players as well. Burnley, because I think this season they're going to struggle because they lost some players, and I think they haven't really replaced them. And as Matthew said, Arsenal as well should have get rid of more of the deadwood, and try and get maybe a strike. I think we should have got another striker in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely on the striker note, I think it's a tough one because Lacazette would have had to have left for that to make sense, and then Ketia is still there. So we've now got 4 strikers. We've got no European competition. I don't know where the minutes are going to come from for Balogun. That's now a concern.
Poor lad, yeah.
For him, he started the first 2 games of the season, but well, no, just one. Was it? No, yeah, the first 2.
He played the first game and he came on against Chelsea.
Yeah.
He didn't play the Carabao Cup, did he?
No. What other team should have done more in the window? I think Crystal Palace as well. I feel they I think they bought Edouard signed for them in the end.
Yeah, they got Edouard instead of
They lost quite a few of their experienced players.
They did lose a lot of their experienced players like Saka. Cahill. Who else left? Van Aanholt.
They kept Zaha though.
Yeah.
Kept Zaha.
So they kept Zaha, so that was a good keeping, but we'll see what happens. I think they should be okay with Edouard will score goals in the Premier League. He scored loads of goals in Scotland, in Celtic, so I feel he'll be fine. Once he gets used to the league, he'll be fine. Wolves. Wolves lost a lot of good players in the summer, I feel. And I don't think they really replaced them. Like, they need another centre forward, I would say, because if, for example, Jimenez gets injured again, they'll struggle like last season. Because towards the end of the season, they were struggling.
Big time, yeah.
They were struggling big time without his goals. And we were talking before we started the podcast about Traore, if he can be more consistent and score more goals.
Shoot. Oh.
And he got so much raw pace. He's a machine. But the only thing is he can't finish. So he gets to the important areas of the pitch, and he can't finish, or he can't get an assist. So maybe there's some things he needs to work on in his game. If they can get him scoring at least 10 or 15 goals a season, contributing to the team, I think they could have a good season.
Definitely.
Is there any other team I can think of that didn't do well signing?
I think a lot of teams got multiple players, but it's whether those players are going to be effective.
Effective, definitely.
Because Norwich got a whole lot from the Buendia money, but are they going to be effective? Leeds recently got Dan James, and we were talking about how he's gone to the right place with someone like Bielsa, who and I know Dan James has that. He's quick, and I know Bielsa likes quick players. He's going to the right place after all. It's whether those players bear fruit, because we've seen in the past how a lower league team that does come up. I think Fulham spent like 100 million last year, didn't stop them getting relegated. So it's just how effective they're going to be in the long run. So yeah, we got to see.
I think another team that didn't really spend a lot. I know Leicester. I thought they should have bought some more players in. I know they bought the striker, they bought the midfielder, and they brought in Lookman. But I thought that they need more strength and depth, because every season they start off well, and towards the end of the season they always seem to fall off. Like last season they were in a Champions League spot for a long time, and then towards the end of the season they just fell off, and then Liverpool took their spot. So I feel they need strength and depth, because a lot of their players get very injury prone.
But they got.
But would you say that for them was their fall off more of like a manager not kind of preparing the team more? Because I feel like Rodgers, that's something he needs to kind of look into, because when you're at Liverpool, there's a similar issue where the performances just seem to fall off a cliff after a while.
They should have won the league that year as well. I think is because they've got not Townsend doing. They got Bertrand. They got Lookman. So they've done a lot of loan deals, don't they? Because that's loan players before they buy them. Because they did the same thing with Tillemans. They loaned him, then they bought him. And last year we got talk about being the bridesmaid. They were in the top 4 the longest for the whole of last year. Didn't make it.
But that's 2 seasons in a row they've done that though.
Yeah, and well, granted, on merit, on that alone, they probably should deserve to have been there in the first place. So it's whether they can this year. I think the competition for top 4 has gotten a lot tougher, because all the teams, the top 4 teams from last year, are more strengthened in particular areas and tying down players. It's just got that little bit harder. Definitely. So we got to hope those signings bear some sort of fruit.
That's very true. I think we'll call that it for this week. We've got a nice weekend, so we don't have to worry about our clubs. We just got to hope that our players will come back with no injuries, no knocks. We also got to hope that, I guess, in the Chelsea point of view, Tuchel just keeps doing his good work. From an Arsenal point of view, Arteta gets a drop of wisdom. Maybe he should pick up that phone and call Arsene Wenger. Maybe now is a good time. It won't cost you much of anything, and get some wisdom from the big man and sort of put it into the team. Thanks again, Matthew, for joining me. Thanks again, Craig, as always, for being here. This has been One Kick from Glory. This is episode, whatever episode it is, episode 4. This is One Kick from Glory, this is episode 4. Thanks again for tuning in. And if you have any comments you'd like to add, do drop them in the comments. Do message us, email us. All the details are down below at Eightseven.uk on Instagram, at Eightseven.uk on Twitter. And we would love to hear more. This is it for this week. Like I said, we've got a very special podcast coming soon discussing Arsenal. We're going to go in depth. So if you have any questions, any point of views, please send it across and we will add and address those during the episode. And then following that, we will have another special podcast. So we're going to do a double podcast coming up. The other one will be talking about the golden era of football, just looking back on the 2000 era, the pre-Super Money era, when things were really exciting across Europe. But that is us for now. Have a great rest of the day. Take care, everyone. Peace.
Peace.
Hey.